So the Galamsey War is on. The first series of street protests are over. 3 days of continuous protests has been controversial. Many people are behind bars tonight. As we count, the last count, 39 of them, protesters have been remanded into police and prison custody tonight on the back of the protests we saw from Saturday, Sunday and Monday. The police have been out there doing its job, but there has been some clashes and people have been picked up. They have been charged now, we know, with unlawful assembly. Tonight, we must examine whether these protests will yield the results that we know that the campaigners are asking for. That these protests that we've seen over the last 3 days and the only protest that we can expect to have on the matter of illegal mining, because we know that Arocha Ghana today also protested at several intersections. They had their placards up calling for an end to illegal mining. So this is building a momentum. The mother of all protests we expect to happen when organized labor steps in. By the way, as far as this is concerned, the countdown is on 6 days to when organized labor, working in conjunction with the Ghana Coalition Against Illegal Mining, will also hit the streets and protest. But this will not only be street protests. It will come with an industrial strike, which means that workers across the length and breadth of this country will withdraw their services because they want government to act to end illegal mining. This is the one that can potentially shut down this country. And so we've seen this protest all building momentum. Yes, people have been arrested, but for the 39 people arrested, they believe they are fighting a just cause and they want action done, and they're willing to sacrifice themselves for this. So will this really yield the results they're looking for, or a different approach maybe? We will tell you about protests elsewhere on the matter and the power of the protests we see in the sale of the state hotels. We know what happened when organized labor decided to step in and warn of withdrawal of all services. And what happened? We know that the government was forced to cancel this particular sale. SNIT, within 12 hours, had been forced to eat humble pie, did a massive U-turn after both the board chair, the chief executive, the president himself, the labor minister, all of them gave us an indication that we're going ahead. But when organized labor decided that this is enough, and enough is enough indeed, we saw that they backtrack. And so organized labor and the other protesters are looking at that as a template, as a model of how to get government to do something, even if they really don't want to do it. And so that is why we're seeing that the momentum is building up towards this all-important protest that organized labor intends to hold at the end of 6 days if nothing really happens. But we've seen, in terms of the demands that organized labor had put out, and not only organized labor, the Ghana Coalition Against Illegal Mining, the Media Coalition Against Illegal Mining, all of these groups, including the clergy, including the Ghana Medical Association, the Nurses and Midwifery Association, all of them putting together demands, and there's a range of them, deploying military and police. Why are we doing this? We are looking at what the government has done so far in terms of delivering on these demands, because that is the only way government can avert this, the mother of all protests. After the expiration of the sit day, and the countdown is on already towards that, we know that government has issued a statement to say that as far as the deployment of military and police is concerned, they've already given instructions to the district assemblies and the regional ministers to act. And last week, we had the regional minister for the Eastern region telling us that they've done exactly that by deploying the military and police into the forest, and some of them are meeting resistance. Just a small band of police and military get into a forest and meeting 400 armed illegal miners, and they had to beat a retreat. That we've seen across the country. But the other demand about declaring state of emergency, we haven't seen that just yet. In fact, we've heard the government chief minister around land and natural resources say he really doesn't see why this is something that is feasible within the context of dealing with illegal mining. Halt all mining on river bodies and in forest reserves. We haven't seen that yet materialize. Evacuate miners from forests and water bodies. That is something that we're yet to see also materialize in the forest reserves. Revoking LI 2462 is another one that is pending. And then establishing the special courts to deal with Galamsey, it's also pending. So if we take all these demands together, that nothing really has happened to majority of them, it is very clear that we are setting ourselves up for that protest at the end of the 6 days, right? And that is something to watch. The banning small-scale mining is a very controversial one indeed. But if again look at the contribution of mining to the economy, as far as the Ghana Statistical Service is concerned, is key to note, right? 14.8% is what we got in the second quarter of 2024 alone. As far as the growth of the mining sector, it is very important. That sector is growing, and you need to ask yourself, how much of the 14.8 is attributed to small-scale mining, for example? It's a good question to ask and to look at that, because some of the protesters and the campaigners have called for the banning of small-scale mining too. And if you look at the overall contribution of gold, though, the total exports in the second quarter of 2024, we're talking about some 57.6%. So it's contributing quite significantly. And therefore, we've had the President of the National House of Chiefs make the point that if you ban it, what do you put in its place, right? But that conversation, campaigners have said we do not need to have in a time of national crisis, and indeed it is a crisis, right? We keep talking about it because it's an existential threat to all of us. And I pull this out, and you wonder, is this Ghana? No, it's not. This is Brazil. This is the Amazon in Brazil. Why am I showing you this? Because in Brazil, they've also had protests by indigenous communities who live and make a living in the Amazon forest. That protest have recently forced the government to act and to end illegal mining in the Amazon, right? And many are looking at this to say, this is a template. Because if I didn't tell you this was Brazil, and you just simply looked at the pictures I'm showing you here, you would think this is one of the forest reserves destroyed here in Ghana as a result of illegal mining, but it's not. It is actually in Brazil. And there, the local communities took up the fight, and they waged a war, they protested. Eventually, the government had to listen and stepped in. They got results in Brazil to stop what is happening. And this devastating picture you see there, that has been decimating biodiversity in that part of the world, that is affecting the global balance as far as the climate change is concerned, they got some results. Key question to ask tonight: will the Ghanaian protests get the same results? My guests are joining me for a conversation. We'll start by getting the very latest on those who have been detained. Remember, the police, they're doing their jobs. Yes, protest is a constitutional right, but it still has to happen. It must happen with the confines of the law. And the police say if it doesn't happen with the confines of the law, then they will apply the rule fair and square. But the protesters say that is not what is happening. We'll get the very latest on this. And also tonight, Oliver Barker-Vormawor, as far as the lawyers are concerned, and the Face the Country protesters, they don't know where he is, and they don't know whereabouts as far as looking for him and his lawyers are concerned. Maybe we'll get some clarity tonight as to where he's been held. But tomorrow is another day for these protesters. But will they yield the right results? My guests are joining me for a conversation after this. And PM Express is always brought to you by Syntex Tanks. It is strong, it is tough, no matter your water needs, Syntex Tanks has it all. Syntex Tanks is the first to introduce the double layer tank, and now you can have as many layers as you want. Syntex Tank gives you the longest warranty, 7 years, which no other tank gives you in Ghana. You want to call them on 0244-335-168 or shop online at syntexgh.com. Academic Times is the incoming graphic and online publication aiming to collaborate with university authorities and students to ensure that student research is publicized in some reform. So look out for them, and then look out also for us on TuneIn, because we are back there on TuneIn. I'm talking about Joy 99.7 FM, Adom, and all the other channels. You can find us there. Joining me for a conversation tonight, Nadine Soa is the convener, Stop Galamsey protest, and she's been out there today in search of some of her colleagues who have been protesting with her over the weekend. Dara Bosu is with me in the studio, and he, as you know, is with Arocha Ghana. He's a Deputy National Country Director of Arocha Ghana, and they've been protesting today too, using placards at intersections to make their point. Angel Kabonu is the president of the National Association of Graduate Teachers, and I remember we did a show on PM Express last month, I believe, or shortly after they won the war against the sale of snake. I'm talking about organized labor. And in that conversation, I was asking him and the TUC that will they deploy the same power and the same energy and force they brought to bear to end the sale of snakes to other important national issues like Galamsey? And he told me that they will. Then I remember when I did a story, many people said, oh, I mean, you know, organized labor, I don't mind them. They were just fighting when it has to do with their pensions and their salaries. But when it comes to issues like Galamsey, you shouldn't expect any fight from them. So we've come full circle. He's back with me on the show, and I told them that I will call them when the matter becomes alive again. It's alive now. I'll hear his thoughts on how far they're willing to go to get action. Prince Ganaku is a lawyer for the protesters, and he has been all over the place today trying to get bail for his clients. And I want to start with him because I need an update. We'll get him. We'll get him pretty shortly. Nade Swa is, by the way, with me, and I want to quickly go to her first, though, because I know that she's also today been trying to get in touch with some of her colleagues who have been arrested. And now, thank you for joining us on PMX. If you can share with me what you have learned so far in locating Oliver, for example. We understand that as of the last time we checked 2 hours ago, you still could not find him. You don't know where he's been kept. Has that changed?
We still don't know where Oliver is.
Okay, you still don't know where Oliver is. Have you and your colleagues and lawyers been in touch with the police at all on this? Have the police provided any information as you've tried?
The police are not being cooperative at all. You know, when they get these big orders from above, then it's like they go mad.
Okay,
they have no interest in anybody.
Okay. Can you update us on how many of the protesters you know have been picked up in total? Because we're having conflicting reports about 39, which we know were remanded this evening. But from what we're learning, that is not the total number. There's some more possibly still behind bars, correct?
That is correct. We don't know exactly how much, how many. Nothing is clear, okay? Absolutely nothing is clear. Okay.
And I know today, when the Prince Ganaku joins us, we'll get some further clarity on this, but the protesters were charged with unlawful assembly. And from what we understand happened in court, the protesters protested in areas where the police had not approved for them to protest. I mean, and that obviously led to some scenes and scuffles with the officers. You accept, though, that once you decide to protest, which is your constitutional right, it must happen within the confines of the law, and that if the police believe that you're breaching the law, they must enforce that by arresting people and charging them, put them before the court, which is what democracies do.
Okay, if that is true, why were we allowed to protest on the first day and there were no arrests? If that is true, why was it that on the first day there were absolutely no arrests, not even one?
So all the arrests happened when? Saturday?
Day 2, yes.
Okay. Is it because...
There was not one arrest. There was not one arrest on day 1. And the police were the ones who even went and blocked the traffic at Opebia, at Kaukudi, and at Lands Commission. We were only telling people at the roundabout to turn around and go away. You're not using this roundabout today. That's all we were doing.
Is it also because on the day the arrests were made, people were being not complying with the law and violating the law, and that's why the police had to step in and make the arrest?
You know what? Giving our children Galamsey water to drink is against the law. That is the only crime here, okay?
Nadine, so please stay with me. I want to bring in the president of the Ghana National Association of Graduate Teachers, Nagrad Angel Kabano. Mr. Kabano, so I'm grateful that I have you on, because I was recounting that show we had on the same platform a couple of months back when you won the war to stop the sale of snakes, and we had this conversation, and you promised at the time that we're going to see a new organized labor, a revived organized labor with energy to use that same force and power to fight other social causes. This is one of them. And is this a manifestation, a fulfillment of that commitment all of you made at the time on the back of the snake sale that you managed to stop?
Well, Evans, organized labor is never reneged on its responsibility in raising issues of national concern. We've raised issues of national concern severally. We have demonstrated our positions to the public severally. When we are not too careful, people start putting in statements to blunt our purpose, and we should not allow that to happen. The fight against Galamsey is a multifaceted fight. You are fighting people who are political functionaries. You are fighting people who oil the wheels of political parties. You are fighting people who are owning properties in this country through Galamsey. You are fighting people who may even own radio and television stations. You are fighting people who are members of parliament. You are fighting people who are ministers of government. You may even be fighting the entire government machinery. So don't expect that this fight is going to yield results through a one-day protest and agitation. However, the entirety of the people of this country will have to show that we are resolved. For the police and the security agencies, since colonial days, this is how they have operated. Sometimes they operate like this, not that they don't believe in the fight, but by their training, a pure post-colonial training, something we received from the colonial master. This is how the police have behaved from Nkrumah days through Buzia days, Rawlings days, till now. So I am not too surprised about that. Yes, during the demonstration, there could be some excesses. Yes, I agree. That day, I was going for a funeral and I spent over 2 hours in the traffic. But look, Ghana is not the only country where protests take place. More atrocious protests have taken place in France, in the developed world, and we are not an exception. So I see the arrest of these young people as routine. If anything at all, the entirety of the Ghanaian populace have disappointed these young people, because maybe if we were all on the streets, those excesses could have been curtailed. If the intellectuals who speak big English on television and radio, including myself, if workers of this country, if we're all on the streets, I think that those excesses we saw might be curtailed. And if for nothing at all, we have disappointed those young men and women who are fighting for our survival.
But organized labor itself has served notice that you would join that protest. I said join that protest. You also embark on the protest, a series of them, in the lead up to a withdrawal of services nationwide if you don't see action on the subject. As we speak tonight, where are you, when I talk about you, I'm talking about organized labor, on that? Because 6 days to go to the expiration of that deadline you've given, as I illustrated, none of the things you put before government has been dealt with.
Well, that tells you that at the time the Democracy Hub were demonstrating, our ultimatum had not expired.
Mm-hmm.
So it also tells you that the disjointed organization of protests is not going to help us, and that there is a need for us to garner common grounds, because the splinter way we are going, we are just yielding ourselves into the arms of the perpetrators of this crime against humanity. I think that a more focused organization needs to be found. A more common ground organization needs to be found. A more common voice needs to be found. And it's just a matter of time from where I sit that all the contradictions will soon sharpen. And when the contradictions sharpen, I think people will join forces together to fight against this crime against humanity being perpetrated by people in authority. So it's a question of proper organization. That is where I think the deficit is. Look, if organized labor alone just gets up and go on the street, and after that we go back to our offices, what would we have achieved?
He's frozen there. We'll try and get him back up because I need clarity on a few things. I know that they've been meeting on what will happen post the sixth day, which really is the end of September, which the date they've given. But I have with me in the studio, Mr. Bosu, you also protested today, Arocha.
Yeah.
Right. But he makes the point there that the best thing to do rather is to concentrate your efforts in a more coordinated one. You had your protest today. The Democracy Hub had theirs over the 3-day period. And then now we're anticipating that if nothing happens between now and over the next 6 days, organized labor will also go on a protest. He talks about a splinter, it's disjointed, isn't it? And that doesn't bring you the results that you require because you're spreading the potency of these two things.
Well, I think, yes, that can be said. But I think ours is a background to our street campaign. I know you call it protest, but the churches use this strategy. They stand on the street with their placards, they preach the word of God. The parties also use it. You see the MPP, NDC do it. It's a strategy for street awareness and campaigning. And the reason why we did that was that, you know that the 22nd of September is World Rivers Day, which was a Sunday. So we didn't have that opportunity to engage the public and educate the public. So the Monday was also a holiday, and we decided that Tuesday was when we were going to bring our street awareness and all of that together. So we worked, so right from the Sunday, we were very much online, engaging, doing awareness on the issues of Galamsey and all of that, and also re-echoing the demands of organized labor and other civil societies and all that. So if you look at some of the placards, we have Media Coalition Against Galamsey, it's actually to sustain the momentum and keep the discussion still very much in the media space and make sure that everybody is paying attention to what's happening. And that's what we sought to do. And I'm happy that today when we're out there in the field, in all the 4 areas that we stood to really share the message and also engage the public, everybody is thinking about the issue and the reminders are really kind. So the whole idea is not to create a disjointed approach, but rather to sustain the momentum. And that is exactly what we sought to do today.
Okay, let me bring in Prince again, who's lawyer for some of the protesters who have been arrested. And Prince, tell me, when we last spoke 2 hours ago, you still needed clarity on exactly how many of your clients were still behind bars. Do you have clarity now? I know we counted at least 29 of them who had been remanded either in prison custody or in police custody, but there's still some more in police custody yet to be put before the court. Do you have a final number of those affected?
No, it's just by deduction. The police say they arrested 45, we say 46. 29 were in court today. So we expect that the remaining or the remainder will also come to court today. So that's basically it. We don't have any numbers beyond what we knew yesterday.
Okay. And do you have clarity on where Oliver Barker-Vormawor is?
Yes, we are told that he's being held at the regional command.
Is it the headquarters or this is Accra Regional Command? That will be at the Accra Central.
Yes, around Tudu.
Around Tudu.
But just if I may, I just wanted to comment on the submission that Mr. Carbono made. Excellent points. The first point, excellent about colonial training. You see, this thing that we are fighting, it affects the police. And yet, they are protecting the perpetrators. The police are acting as though Ghana government has entered into a JV.
But when you say the police is protect the perpetrators, is that a fair comment though? Because the police is simply enforcing the law. They believe the law has been breached by some of the protesters, right? I mean, and they put them before a court of competent jurisdiction.
So let's get into that. Let me just put that. I'll come to it. Let me just put that down. Police enforcing the law. So let's put that down. I'll come to it. Right. Let me finish a comment on Mr. Carbono's statement. The police are behaving as though Ghana government has entered into a JV with VOS to provide them with special water when everything goes up. The people in authority, right? The people under whose supervision or under whose authority this thing has gotten so bad under, they live in mansions. Their kids go to school abroad. Their kids have double passports. They are the new colonial masters. You and I, we are not one of them. Judges are not one of them. And you know who the them are. You see, I like to believe that human beings are rational. We are not always intelligent in the sense that, sometimes we are prone to mistakes, but we are rational. We identify an end that we believe is beneficial to us, and then we pursue it. So if you're a police officer, you're a judge, you are on a government salary, you care about your kids, you care about your grandkids, you cannot go out to protest. Someone is going out to protest on something that affects you, affects your grandkids, but you cannot do anything about it because of the position that you are in. What incentive do you have to levy such cruel punishment on the people that are doing the work that you cannot do? That's my issue. And the point Mr. Carbono made about protest is true. Protests are about disruption, okay, and that's healthy for our democracy. You don't want a system where people internalize their frustration. They feel as though the entire government machinery is against them. That is a recipe for disaster, and we have seen that so many times in this country. Every time we have had a military intervention in this country, it has been preceded by something that we call in this country a culture of silence. People were not allowed to have that cathartic feeling or that cathartic release that they have been able to speak their minds, even if nothing happens afterwards. And that's what's going on right now. And so I agree perfectly with Mr. Carbono, and I agree with the submissions that Captain Yaho Tamaklo made yesterday. Now let me come to your question about the police enforcing the law. Here's why I do not buy that, okay? This is not about enforcing the law. It has never been about enforcing the law. And in our many interactions, I have made this case that if it was about enforcing the law, what the police would have done is when they got the notice 3 months ago, they would have gone to court 3 months ago. Let's say that they were so busy that they couldn't have gone to court 3 months ago, they would have gone 2 months ago. Let's say that they were so busy that they couldn't have gone 2 months ago, they would have gone this month, at the beginning of this month. What they chose to do was to wait, act in bad faith, go to court 2 days before the protest and get an ex-parte injunction. If they were acting in good faith, they would have even gone on notice. So this is not about enforcing the law. That's not what this is about. If it was about enforcing the law, the police will not arrest people and deny them access to legal representation the whole day. I've been on the phone with you. The whole day we have been chasing the police around because they take the protesters, drive around with them, go and turn around, come back. You ask, where are the protesters? They don't let you see them. This entire period, Lawyers have gone to police station to see, and to see their clients, and there's an order from above that nobody should be allowed to see anybody. You go to court, we don't even see the charge sheet. We have to ask for the charge sheet, and the first thing that both they say, the prosecutors say in both courts, is that we should come formally. We should come formally means that the court should remand the people into custody so that we come back later, a week or two later. How is this about enforcing the law? Which institution, if I should mention bribe right now, which institution will come to mind? You don't have to say it. Everybody watching knows the institution that will come to mind. If I should mention the institution that does not obey traffic laws in this country, which institution comes to mind? If I should mention the institution that abuses their power in this country, you know who comes to mind. It is the Ghana Police Service. So this is not about enforcing the law, because there is nobody more lawless than the Ghana Police Service. It has never been about enforcing the law. It has never been about.
But the police itself can't do anything by themselves without the court, right? I mean, the courts have the discretion to grant the people bail. In fact, the court can check the powers of the police. As it is, you're in court today trying to secure bail for your clients, and the court used their discretion to deny them that bail. So do you put this all on the doorstep of the police when, in essence, what you're doing is applying the law through the courts necessarily?
No, you're right. The courts are, in a sense, and in my view, complicit in endorsing the tactics of the police. I see no reason. There are decisions. There is a decision by Sir Dennis Ejay where he denounces this practice of the police going backdoor to get ex-parte applications in matters that affect people's rights. It has already been denounced by the courts, okay? But we don't get that. There are Supreme Court decisions that settle the issue of the rights to protest. Yet we still have the police overreaching and trying to make themselves into regulators of a right that is inherent in all of us, with the tacit and express endorsement of the courts. So you are right when you say that the police are acting in concert with the courts, and the courts are in fact complicit. Look, if I don't know if there were any pressmen in courts today, and I have to satisfy myself on what the rules are before I do this. But if there isn't a rule against this action, I will either myself apply for a copy of the court proceedings or the court notes and publish it on the internet. Okay, let's not go with my biased conclusions. I want everybody to draw the conclusions that they want to draw. If I don't do it, I believe that the processes that were filed today are public documents. Anybody can go and apply for a copy of the court notes. You will see the arguments that we made, and you will see the argument that the prosecution made. And you can get, not me, get a neutral lawyer to come on and assess the state of the law against the arguments that were made from both sides, and let that lawyer conclude where they would have predicted that the decision would have gone.
I mean, and I know, I mean, this subject is a very controversial matter. I mean, and two lawyers will not agree possibly on this matter. And so the court, I'm pretty sure.
I am almost 95% certain that if you were to survey 50 lawyers, 49 will agree that the decision did not go the way they thought it would.
Just clear this up for me. So Oliver and the others, will they be arraigned tomorrow?
They have a right to arraignments tomorrow, but since the Ghana police are committed to being unlawful, acting unlawfully, we don't know if they will be arraigned tomorrow. I cannot be certain. And if you told me before today that it is possible that people will be arrested and the police will be playing hide and seek with their lawyers, I would have told you that it's not possible. But it happened today. So I don't know if Oliver and the others will they have a right.
Does he now have access to a counsel?
No, he doesn't.
He still hasn't seen his lawyers?
No, he hasn't. Well, I know he handed himself in with his lawyers present, but I don't know if after he handed himself in, he has been able to see his lawyers. I
mean, but if he handed himself in with the lawyers present, how come you struggled to locate where he was?
No, because I specifically did not know where he had handed himself in. So that was the.
Okay, but so his lawyers knew where he was.
Yes, it's lawyers new way.
Okay, good. Stay with me. I want to come back to Angel Kabono, who is still with me. I lost him briefly. There was an interruption in his line. But Angel, I wanted to focus a bit more on organized labor because you have laid a roadmap already towards one, protest, and second, an industrial action withdrawal of services across the country. As we speak tonight, is there still the resolve to fully implement that roadmap? Okay, we lost Angel Kabono there, but I want to come to the studio. Darryl, so you went to protest today with your placards. The real question is, you want to stop illegal mining.
Yep.
You think protests will deliver the results?
Well, you don't only rely on one strategy to get what you want. And civil society can deploy several strategies. And I don't think that we should all wait for the deadline given by labor before all of us start really protesting in our own small way. If you go to the communities, a lot of things are happening. The miners are there ravaging people's farms and all that. The communities have no way to protest. So there should be a continuous agitation until government really, and the build-up of the organized labor demonstration will really let the government know that we really mean business. So it's not just an issue about letting labor go it alone. All of us are pitching our strength in many ways as we can. I think we've also heard about the religious groups also planning their own protests in their own way. So I believe in several strategies working towards one end, and that is what is important. But bear in mind that we are not acting by ourselves. We are part of the media coalition, supporting them and working with them. And so we're really fully behind every effort and every intention that organized labor and all other professional bodies are intending.
So at the end of the month,
yeah,
when organized labor and the Ghana coalition, I believe you're part of the Ghana coalition now.
Yes.
You will join the protest.
Yes, we are actively mobilizing civil society front to participate in these strikes and demonstrations as it should be.
In your case, what do you want? Because every group seems to want something specific. The ultimate goal is to end illegal mining. Some want state of emergency declared.
Yeah.
Others want a ban on all forms of mining. That's one category. Then all forms of mining on water bodies and in forest reserve. That's the second category. And then ban on small-scale mining, right? All together, What do you want?
Evans, I think our demands align with what organized labor is asking for.
Mm-hmm. Organized labor is asking for state of emergency, deployment of police and military, setting up a specialized court. They also want the LI
repeal LI 2462, and also banning of all forms of mining in our rivers and
water bodies
and forest reserves.
Yes.
So these are some of the demands that we align with, and also media coalition is virtually aligning with organized labor. If you listen to GMA and all of that, but I think what we need to bear in mind is that none of us, all of us putting out demands, none of us have said that government should ban small-scale mining. It's just a twisted narrative we've heard government functionaries and officers talking about. Nobody has asked that we should ban small-scale mining. What we have been very emphatic about is that mining that is destroying our rivers and streams and the buffer areas, let's stop that. Whether it is legal or not, let's stop that. Mining in our forest reserve should cease with immediate effect, and no further mining leases should be granted. That is what we are asking for. So if you have a small-scale mining license and your license overlaps with the river, then that particular license is irresponsible and should not be allowed to continue. So that is what we are demanding. Nobody has said, let's ban small-scale mining. And I think that narrative needs to be pushed out there very clearly so people don't get us wrong.
So you don't want small-scale mining banned?
It's not possible.
But isn't that part of the problem?
No, it's not possible. You see, as a country, we are blessed with minerals. And it's a very legitimate opportunity for Ghana to leverage those minerals to develop. But we must do that responsibly and judiciously. So that is why we believe that mining can be done sustainably. I believe, and we believe, that the current mineral mining and licensing regime and also the regulation is comprehensive enough and adequate. We had in 2019 Act 995, which also makes it very punitive if you're a financier of illegal, all of these things should have been put underway and we get things going. But what we have done is that we've set aside the law and allow people to operate irresponsibly. And that is how come we are where we are now. So it's not a matter of asking that small-scale mining should be banned. It is not realistic. And I want us to be practical.
So for clarity, you don't want small-scale mining banned. What you want is all forms of mining in the forest reserves and on water bodies. That's what you want.
These are the demands
just to clarify that. Yeah. I want to come to Nading Swap. Now, so you have embarked on this 3-day protest. What next in getting the results that you've been chasing?
You know what? If I feel like it, and these guys, this gentleman you just spoke to, is going out tomorrow, if I feel like it, I'll go with them.
Okay.
And I'll go and protest with them.
So the protest continues?
If I feel like it and somebody else, anybody is protesting and I feel like going, I will go. And if I want, I'll take my grandkids with me because they are the ones who are going to end up with all sorts of diseases. I want somebody to tell me how much they are willing to sell their child, their beautiful child's kidney or liver for. Put a price on it. Put a price on the child's kidney or liver and tell me how much you are willing to pay. That beautiful child that you love so much, that the woman carried in her womb for 9 months, that she has given birth to, might be her only child. Kidney disease, liver disease, cancers, not just from the water, but from the food we are eating, the animals we are eating. Who is going to put a price on their child's kidney and liver and then sell it and, kill the child and be happy? Who is going to be willing to do that? I don't think anybody is going to be willing to do this. Everybody in this country is in this together. We are all together. Even the people, the big kings up there, 10 years ago, do they know what their children took in? Galamsey has been going on for a long time. We don't know how long we've been drinking it in the water or eating it in the food. We don't know.
Yeah, I mean, and
kidney disease is on the rise.
I mean, now, thank you. Stay with me. I want to bring in Darryl again. Darryl, so last week, the government acted by forming another ad hoc committee to engage stakeholders. Were you part of those who demand?
So yes, we are aware of the ad hoc committee the government put together. We must say that yes, it came to us that we need to have a meeting, but we decided to decline because we didn't. And well, the reason is that we have put some demands on the table, and we believe that we've been doing too much talking already when it comes to Galamsey. We really need to start doing some action. We need to put in place some actions. You outline in your analysis all the things that have come over time in terms of the demands over the years and what government has failed to do. So I think that we've done enough talking. We need to see action. And even this meeting, as you know, from the organized labor, I mean, it came to one conclusion. Still, do what you have asked, and then let's talk again. So that is what we want to see.
Organized labor went to the meeting.
They went to the meeting, but they realized that there was nothing new to offer. And so they had to tell government, look, do what we have demanded, and then let's talk. So that is why we thought that, wait, we need to let government know that we are very serious about our demands, and then they should take action, and then we follow them.
So that obviously hasn't changed anything for you. That ad hoc committee hasn't changed anything.
Not at all. We really think that is just a way for government to delay, more or less, some excuses. And you realize even their responses to the demands we made.
Do you sincerely believe? So there have been 2 protests now, one lasting 3 days, and then yours.
Yeah.
Right. Do you sincerely believe that it has moved the needle at all in the last 4 days on the subject of illegal mining as far as government action is concerned?
Civil action operates in several ways. The world lenses is on Ghana now. Everybody is watching. I'm sure the diplomatic missions are listening and watching. There's a lot of human rights violations when you look at the UN principles on business and human rights. A lot of these violations are now very rife in the environment now. These protesters who were arrested and all of that, the issues surrounding it and all of that, the communities who are being exposed to miners who come to their lands take their land by force and threaten them. If you're a man, you come and you see. These are all violations going on. And the fact that the state is indifferent is shining the light on us rather negatively. And so to that extent, it is building up a certain level of momentum. It might not have moved the nail we want to see, but it is building up that momentum very slowly. And eventually when it builds up, I'm sure when organized labor says, let's go out there, people will not hesitate, but will all hit the street. Okay,
and Prince, if you're still with me on, I know you are a lawyer fundamentally representing your clients in this, but you also obviously believe in the cause and what you're fighting for. You've seen the pain of being arrested in the eyes of your clients who have spent days behind bars. You think it's all worth it?
You know what? I do. I do. And it may be controversial for me to say this, but I think that when they went out to protest in this country under this government, they knew that something like this could happen. It is wrong that it happened, and it is absolutely unconscionable and shocking that they are being made to go through this. But if you were to ask any of them, if they knew for a fact that this is what was going to happen, would they do it again? And each and every one of them would say yes. Because like Evans Mensah said, this is not just about us, right? And it's not about NDC or MPP, or it's not about this person against that person. This is something that affects all of us. It is seeping into our food. It is seeping into our water. We simply do not have the healthcare infrastructure to deal with the disaster that is going to come. So we have been put in a position where if you can afford to leave, leave. If you can't afford to leave, then you are stuck here and you are going to die. And we are not going to die. We are not going to die. We're not just going to, I feel like we all feel like, oh, we are all going to die and then you just walk and drop dead one day. That's not what's going to happen. It's going to be kidney disease without dialysis machines at Kolebu. It's going to be liver disease without beds. It's going to be cancer without MRI machines. That's what we are facing. And these are the people who have decided that they are going to do something about it. And this sacrifice that they have made is why you and I are sitting here today talking about it. It is why the BBC will call me tomorrow. It is why the president is at the UN. And if the online campaign intensifies, he will be put on the spot tomorrow. So while I am angry and sad that my friends are going to be spending 2 weeks, not even at Counterback, but in a prison cell, it is so demoralizing that just asking for clean water can get you put in this position. I feel like if this is what it takes to get action on this particular matter, then all of it has been worth it. Everything, the time, the sacrifice, the energy, the pain, all of it is, if this is what it takes for us to get somewhere on this topic, it's 100% worth it, in my opinion.
Nowadays, why is it worth it?
Definitely. I will go again. I will go anytime I want to go. Because every little kidney for every little child, every little liver, every little child that might get cancer is my grandchild, and I will fight for them till the day I drop. It is worth it.
Okay, and that is what, thank you very much. Prince, I'm grateful. Darryl, so you're waiting now, I guess, for the organized labor, because that is the next one, or you have other activities planned before then?
Well, we are in the communities, in the remote areas, engaging, training people. We have a program where we are training community paralegals to follow up on some of these issues. Just over the weekend, we're following up on some development in the Eastern region, where a miner claimed to have a license but has not done the necessary environmental impact assessment, engagement with community people, and it's already in the people's community farms, destroying them, so the community rose up. So we are in the communities engaging and all of that, and we think that there needs to be a movement. movement building also in those areas. And I think I want to say that Stonebwoy should join the campaign as well because he has a strong and greedy man. We want him to really join us in the field.
Early this year, I actually hosted him on my show. We talked about illegal mining. Because he traveled into the communities and saw what was happening and actually started the campaign.
We need to get him back into the communities, mobilize more people and get some of these movement building going on in the community. We need to see more of these things, not only in the city, but also in the communities.
Daryl, thank you very much.
It's a pleasure. Thank you. Thank you.